What happens when the nation's top law enforcement agency is accused of being nothing more than a casting call for a reality TV show? We've seen intense hearings before, but the gloves didn't just come off in this latest session. They were thrown into the fire. We're dissecting a high-stakes showdown where the director of the FBI is called the least qualified in history to his face. And the response is a cold, "I don't give a damn." This isn't just political theater. It's a fundamental argument over who the government actually protects. Is the FBI fighting for your safety, or is it auditioning for a boss in the Oval Office? Watch closely, because the loopholes in these testimonies are wide enough to drive a truck through, and how this unfolds reveals a terrifying gap in our national security.
Man, oh man, there has been so much today, and I truly don't know where to start. So I'm just going to make sure that we start off with a few facts. So a couple of facts that we need to make clear for everyone is that, number one, Director Christopher Wray, when he was appointed to be the head of the FBI, was appointed by Donald Trump. Now, I will agree that I definitely take issue with a number of decisions that Donald Trump makes, especially when it comes to the people that he decides to appoint to very important positions, including this one, because I did have to make sure that I wasn't going crazy. But when I say that you are the least qualified FBI director in the history of the FBI, that is real, because you are the only one that never even served with the FBI prior to joining, yet we are supposed to believe that you are the greatest thing since sliced bread. I didn't ask you a question. Now, what I want to go through is to talk about why you are a failure and why, honestly, we just need to tell you bye-bye. I know that you got a little upset and you put on your show for your boss because it seems like you're trying to save your job when it came to talking to Senator Booker yesterday. But let's go through some of your failures. So before you were even confirmed, and I think one of my colleague from Georgia, pointed out that you were already targeting career officials so that you could direct illegal firings. Mind you, these cases that you were so upset about, which are the ones tied to Trump, the cases came through his handpicked FBI director. And frankly, when people sit around and say things like, oh, you know, we're happy because now we feel safe, I don't know who feels safe in this country except for the white supremacist, because I specifically as a black woman definitely don't feel safe. And frankly, my colleagues have been real nice to you today, and I applaud them, but I don't have the same demeanor because I know that multiple colleagues on this side of the aisle have faced death threats. In fact, somebody tried to kill one of my colleagues. And frankly, I don't know if this FBI or under your leadership, if those people would have been caught. I don't have any confidence in you. And if we start talking about the reasons that I lack confidence, we could start with you not just wanting to acknowledge some simple facts. Simple facts like the vast majority of the threats are coming from right-wing extremism. And I know my colleagues have tried to stress this, but I decided that I would maybe do it in a different way. Number one, I have a couple of UCs. Kim Buck, one of multiple Republicans receiving death threats for voting against Jim Jordan as House Speaker.
Without objection.
Another one, Republican lawmaker says she received death threats after voting against Jim Jordan in Speaker's race.
Without objection.
In addition, there was another one from another colleague who now is leaving Congress because they said that they were calling his wife anonymously and threatening her life to the extent that she ended up sleeping with a firearm.
Without objection.
Okay, so here's the deal. How are we supposed to have confidence when you're sitting up here telling the Senate yesterday that it will take you 14 years before you can get the FBI fully staffed to do their jobs? You're also now redirecting resources so that they can go and play ICE agents on the streets. You're getting rid of your most qualified people. And even when it came down to somebody that you consider to be a friend, you were posted up having some fancy dinner to the extent that you posted not only once erroneously, you posted twice erroneously as it relates to catching somebody. And then you want to go and say, let me take a victory lap. Because honestly, if it wasn't for parents deciding that they were going to turn in their child, It seems like y'all wouldn't have got there, even though he literally confessed online. So I'm confused about what it is that the FBI is doing, except for trying to put on a show for the apprentice, or whatever you want to call him. The day after all of this took place, there was domestic terrorism that was taking place at HBCUs. They were targeted. Yet I didn't hear anything from the FBI about what was going on. And again, black people kept saying, how did we end up in this? Because the numbers are so very clear that white supremacy is a problem. And honestly, I've not heard anything out of you today that makes me believe that you're going to do anything about the white supremacy problem. The one that is leading to children being killed, children being shot, as well as members of their community as they're worshiping in their churches.
The time of the gentlelady has expired. If the gentleman would like to respond to any of that. Well, I'll respond. Kash Patel, as I said when I introduced him, public defender, former prosecutor, top staffer on the House Intelligence Committee, Deputy Director of National Intelligence with the National Security Council, Chief of Staff at the Department of Defense, and FBI Director. I think that's a pretty good resume for the guy who's now running the top law enforcement agency in our country. And we've seen all the stats that he's given to the committee on how much better they're doing at getting the bad guys than the previous guy was doing. With that, I recognize the gentleman from South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Patel, I think you're witnessing some auditions, clickbait auditions for the Academy Award for my Democratic colleagues. We'll see how they fare as they're on MSNBC later on today. But do you care, before I launch into my line of questioning, to respond to Ms. Crockett from Texas on that very elaborate and theatric display?
Here's what I've learned in my government service. I don't give a damn what they say about me as long as I'm succeeding in the mission. We're succeeding in the mission because the men and women of the FBI have never been empowered to do more work and to hit the streets harder than by President Trump's authorities and resources he's given us. And so all I care about is that we are capturing more child predators than ever before, taking more drugs off the streets than ever before, that we are capturing murderers at a significantly historic rate, and we're delivering this country the lowest murder rate in recorded history. That are facts that you cannot dispute. But you can come at me all you want. I don't care.
Thank you, Director, for that. And we appreciate your service. We appreciate the results speak for themselves, I think, pretty plainly, and your commitment not only to results, but to transparency. So we do appreciate that.
The atmosphere in the room was electric, and you could feel the disdain radiating from Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. As a black woman and a former defense attorney, she didn't just come with talking points. She came with a level of personal frustration that made the room go silent. Her body language was sharp, leaning forward, refusing to look away, and using her hands to emphasize every failure she listed. She wasn't just criticizing Kash Patel, she was indicting the entire culture of the FBI under his leadership. Crockett's opening salvo was brutal. She pointed out a factual loophole that many have overlooked. Kash Patel is the only director in the agency's history who never actually served in the FBI before running it. She painted a picture of a man more concerned with putting on a show for The Apprentice than actually investigating domestic terrorism. The most shocking part? Her claim that the FBI is literally playing ICE agents on the streets, redirecting resources away from white supremacy and right-wing extremism, which she noted is the source of the vast majority of threats, to focus on street-level immigration enforcement. But then look at the pivot. After Crockett's time expired, the chairman jumped in to play defense, rattling off Patel's resume like a shield. Then came Kash Patel's response. If you want to talk about maintaining a poker face, this was it. Patel didn't look flustered, he looked bored, which is a power move in itself. He leaned into the mic and dropped a line that will surely be a soundbite for months. I don't give a damn what they say about me as long as I'm succeeding in the mission. Patel's defense was a masterclass in stats padding. He claimed historic lows in murder rates and record highs in capturing child predators. But here is the loophole. He attributed all of this success to President Trump's authorities and resources. It's an interesting move for an FBI director, who is supposed to be independent, to tie his agency's success so directly to a single political figure. He basically told the committee that facts don't care about their feelings, yet Crockett's point remains. If the FBI is ignoring death threats against sitting members of Congress and ignoring the rise of domestic terror at HBCUs, can we really call those historic results? This debate highlights a massive rift in how we view safety. For Patel and his supporters, safety is about hitting the streets hard and getting the bad guys. For Crockett, safety is about the government acknowledging that the threats are often coming from the inside. It was a professional, yet deeply personal collision that feels more like an MSNBC or Fox News segment than a standard oversight hearing. If you want to keep seeing these breakdowns of the moments the mainstream media glosses over, do me a huge favor. Subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. It helps us keep the lights on and continues our mission to bring you the daily report with a level of intelligence and honesty you won't find anywhere else. Stay sharp, stay informed, and we'll see you in the next one.